Well, here we are, 5 p.m. And I'm here hoping somebody comes along and has a chinwag with me. Hope someone wants to say something about bedbugs or ask me some interesting questions. Um, very nervous. Bear with me. I have no technical knowledge. You'll see me peering over to the sides trying to read any comments that are coming in. Um, so let me tell you a bit about myself. I started my journey with bedbugs about a decade ago. I got a job with a company in South London called Bedbugs Limited. Worked for them for 6 years. Decided I needed a change. Moved into a new role. Had no intention of doing bedbugs ever again. And yeah, I kept my little bedbug group going. Bedbugs Facts and Evidence on Facebook that a lot of you are in. I just giving advice, basic stuff, identification, a lot of misidentification. A lot of people think they've got bed bugs when they don't. So I liked doing that. And I started seeing the same stories coming up again and again. Poor treatments, people being treated when they don't have bed bugs. And I thought, there's got to be more. It's better than that. There's got to be better ways to try and change people's perception and people's actions when it comes to bed bugs. So I went a bit mad in May this year and I decided I was going to start my own company. For people that think bed bugs are difficult, running a company is way worse for me. Apologies for any noise you hear in the background. Got a family home. There are people in and out. I can't help that. And occasionally I need my husband to bring me a cup of tea. So if you wouldn't mind, darling. So yeah, I decided to start this company and it's it's been mad. It's really been mad. I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. Everything. But I'm up and running. I've done a fair few jobs now. I'm having a success, which is great. That's the most important thing. I reckon out of the inspections I've done since, I think August was when I first went out and started properly, I think at least half of them had been, you don't have bed bugs. And that's a really big one because when people think they've got bed bugs and someone comes in and says, oh, well, can't see anything, but you got bites there, missus. Definitely look like bed bug bites. We'll spray anyway. Not only is that not going to resolve whatever is causing their bites or their skin reactions, it feeds into this idea that you can have bed bugs with no signs. It increases the customer's paranoia that there are bed bugs there, but they just can't find any signs of them. So they have a spray done or a heat treatment or whatever treatment they decide is right for them, and the bites persist. So they think it's failed. So they have another treatment and maybe another, and never get into the root cause. So inspection for me is the most important part. Treatment's important, but identification, inspection is really important, because if it's not bed bugs, well, we need to try and find out what it is. Could it be fleas? Could it be carpet beetle larvae? Could it be an allergic reaction? There are lots of things that can cause our skin to break out in what looks and feels like bites. Some people are just hypersensitive. Oh, and when you get anxious, that gets worse. So I have people saying, I have had these bites for 6 months. I'm hunting for bed bugs every day. I've joined every every bedbug group on the internet, and you know, I still think I've got bed bugs. Oh, hold on, I have a question in. Hi there, nice to have you along. Do they hide? Yes, they do hide, um, but they hide, generally speaking, near the food source. If you haven't been using repellents, the likelihood is they would be hiding in the bed frame or really, really nearby. So if you've inspected those areas, there are no signs, no fresh signs. Obviously, if you've had bed bugs, there will be signs on your bed. There may be black spotting, but which you won't remove. Um, so it's kind of important to know what was there before and what's there now, so that you can make a comparison. So yes, they can hide. If you mean, will they go away for 6 months and then suddenly come back? No, they don't do that. You'll read a lot of stuff online about how long bed bugs can live without a blood meal. In laboratory experiments, they have been known to live for well over a year without a food source. But that's not the real world. Okay? When it's done in the laboratory, they're kept at temperature controlled conditions. Um, I'm not a scientist, by the way. I only know what people tell me. So a good resource for everyone is the Bedbug Foundation. Amazing people. What they don't know isn't worth knowing. So now I've lost my train of thought. So we were talking about, or will they hide? Yeah, in laboratory conditions. So it's temperature controlled, and they have no stimulus to move or feed. So there's no carbon dioxide there saying, "Oh, come out and find food." So yes, in laboratory conditions, they can live over a year without a blood meal. In the real world, most of our homes are not that cold. Most of our homes never get down to that controlled low temperature. Even an empty house, you know, if people move out, it's a detached property, so they can't go anywhere else. Yes, they can lay in, and it's not hibernation, they call it diapause. They can just slow themselves right down to an immobile state where they're hardly using any energy, and they can live on their resources for a while. In that sort of environment, they will die off before a year, most likely. Okay. Do the smoke bombs work? No. No, fogger bombs are literally the worst thing you can use for bed bugs. It's one of my golden rules. So let's talk about the 3 golden rules. These I bang on about these a lot. One, don't use any, oh, and this is UK based because I'm UK, I know the products that are available here. Don't use any over-the-counter sprays or fogger bombs. Okay, they are weak versions of the professional product. They do contain some of the same active ingredient, but they're weak. And those products, not only can they cause bed bugs to spread, they're actually contributing to bed bugs becoming immune to the professional chemicals. And that is a huge problem that we can talk about later. So yeah, don't use any over-the-counter sprays or fogger bombs. Absolutely not. Number 2, if you're going to move anything out of an infested room, wrap it up. Just seal it. Move it if you have to. If you don't have to move it, don't. You don't need to throw your bed away except in the most extreme cases. So you don't need to throw your bed away. If you drag your infested mattress through your property, you're spreading bed bugs. So don't do that. Okay. And lastly, don't abandon that infested bedroom because they will follow you. Okay, so a few more things in. So someone's asking, I had 2 sprays in October, haven't seen any signs, I look all the time. Okay, so if you have fully inspected your bed frame and there is no further fresh evidence, so Let's say if you've already cleaned after your treatments, I mean, if you're a good couple of months away now, so I know pest controllers tell you don't clean up for a certain amount of time. If you've cleaned your bed frame, found no evidence of bed bugs, and then 2 months later there is still no signs of bed bugs on that bed frame, I would say you are 99.999% certain to be clear by now. Okay, so I hope that gives you some reassurance. Oh, somebody's saying something kind. Hang on, what's this? Let me have a look, see if I can get this technology to work. Oh, yes, I can. Ah, thank you. Someone just expressing some gratitude. Yeah, I never have time off. Um, I it's a big. I don't like bugs. Okay, this is going to sound really weird. So if I see a spider, I scream and I'm on the back of the sofa. I don't like cockroaches. Ugh, horrible things. I'm allergic to bees. That's unfortunate. Don't I react like everyone else to wasps. You know, but for some reason, bed bugs really fascinated me, and I learned a lot from the person who trained me. I've learned a lot since then. I've met some amazing people in pest control. Um, I've also met some awful people in pest control, but you know, that's the world, isn't it? Someone once mentioned something to me. It's a bit like the Train Spotters Club. I think it was the analogy they used. There's going to be good guys there and there's going to be bad guys there. So, yeah, I've met some amazing people that are passionate about their pest control, are great. I've also met the not so great pest controllers that will just come in, they'll take your money and run. It's not great. Um, yeah, I, it can be damaging to your mental health. Um, it really can. And the more you obsess over something, you more you it's confirmation bias. So I've got these bites, so it must be bed bugs. And but three people have told me it's not bed bugs. But one person has said, oh, they look like bed bug bites. You're going to believe the person that says that because it feeds into what you're thinking. And there is so much misinformation on the internet about how bed bugs, oh, there's millions within weeks. No, there's not. Okay. Oh, they hide for months and then come back. No, they don't. Okay, those things just aren't true. They, if there's a food source there, they will come out every sort of 3 to 5 days ish for a feed. Then they go away and have a kip, digest their meal, come back out and feed again a few days later. So it's should you wait for concrete evidence before getting a professional in? No. I think you could getting someone in for an inspection is a really good idea. Um, so yeah, find someone. If you can find a smaller company, haha, Sishy with a tiny company. Excuse me, vaping. I know it's disgusting and I know it's really unprofessional, but I'm so nervous. Um, if it's going to help your mental health, it is worth paying someone to come in and do a thorough inspection. The downside of that is not every company does a thorough inspection. So I've been known to pull beds fully apart just in an inspection to be certain. If the pest controller, and this kind of feeds into this, you get someone out. The rule is if they don't find physical evidence of bed bugs in the property, they should not carry out a chemical treatment or encourage you to have a heat or other kind of treatment. Okay, it's literally the first rule. Identify the pest, then find the treatment plan. Okay, so if I come out and I don't find bed bugs, but I find fleas, I'm going to advise you to have a treatment for fleas, or get your pets treated, and or get your pets treated for fleas. You know, I'm going to advise you to do that. I'm not going to say, well, it might be bed bugs because, you know, you got bites and everything and they're really hard to find. Hand on heart, I have on, I think, 4 separate occasions found single bed bug infestations, all of which had been there for less than 2 weeks, going on the people's bite response. Okay, perhaps they'd been there maybe a little longer before they actually found the bed and the bite response started. Bed bugs always leave evidence. Okay, and although in your frantic cleaning, maybe you've hoovered up every single bed bug, maybe every single shed skin, every single egg, while you were just frantically vacuuming and not inspecting, but you're not going to vacuum away the fecal trace. So fecal trace is black spotting. On the Facebook group, or if you want to look on my website, on the Facebook group, there are pictures. If you look for my posts, there are pictures of early signs. Okay, they leave it. People think it's red because it's blood. It's not. It can be dark brown. I've never seen it red. Black is the most, very, very dark, sooty black is what you're looking for. On fabric, it soaks in. So if you're finding hard black pieces on your bedding, that's not bedbug poo. Okay? Bedbug poo soaks into fabric. It's liquid when they go. And it soaks into the fabric. And it's often described as like a cross pattern, where it soaks into the wick of the fabric. I think, and wicking is another name for it. So that's a sign to look for. On wood, on raw wood, so like unvarnished wood, it soaks in a bit. But on wood that's been varnished, it's hard and it's slightly raised. So if you were to run your finger over it, you can feel it. It's like a little dome, and you'll feel it with your finger. So that's a good way of, seeing, is that fecal trace or is that just a bit of gunk on the wood? Yes, I know what the internet says about it's always a single bed bug. It's never a single bed bug. Every infestation starts, unless you happen to bring, look, if you buy something, and we've all done it, if you buy something off Facebook Marketplace, and I have a good friend that did that, bought a bed, that was a bad idea. Anyway, we're still friends. Or you buy stuff from second-hand furniture stores, auctions. If you don't know what you're looking for, you could bring an infested item in that would already, let's say it already had 20 bed bugs on it. Okay, you've bought an infestation in, an infested item. Most people bring home one bed bug. Now, if it's a male, you're only ever going to have one bed bug. Can't breed on his own. Like most species, you need a mummy and a daddy, and they have special cuddles, and then we have babies. Although bedbug special cuddles, not so nice. Traumatic insemination, horrible. So if you bring a male home, you're only ever going to have one bedbug, and eventually it'll die. Infestation over. If you bring a pregnant female home, it will start very slowly. So you bring the female home. Let's say after she'll lay her eggs after a couple of days, when she's found a good food source, so when she's found your bed, had a blood feed, she'll lay her eggs. Those eggs will take a period of time to hatch, and I can't off the top of my head remember it now, but it's somewhere around about, I think it's 7 to 10 days, 7 to 12 days, something like that. Like I said, not a scientist. Those eggs will hatch, and they will be in a nymphal stage, a nymph stage. And bed bugs have 5 stages, and they shed a skin between each transformation up to the next stage. There's a scientific name for that. I know there are people out there laughing at me right now, but hey. So they hatch out as a really small, full stop sign, a sized dot, I suppose. I've seen one on me. I caught one feeding on my arm, and it was like a tiny little red full stop. That was the end of his days. So they have to feed before they can move up to the next stage. So they'll have a blood meal. They go away and hide, just like the adults, often with mummy. They'll hide nearby. They'll digest that meal. They will then shed a skin, and they will take another and grow a size. And then they'll take another feed, and that process goes till they get to adulthood. which takes, again, I'll put in my brain on again, it takes round about 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. So then you've got adults, because the juveniles can't breed. So that female that you initially brought in will breed with any male offspring, and then that process starts again. So bed bugs don't go 2, 4, 8, 500. You know, it's a slow beginning, and most people realize when it gets to about the 3-month mark. That's been my experience. Most people start to notice, maybe just before that, there's a funny mark on the bedding, didn't notice that before. Or, oh, I've started getting these itchy bites, that's a bit odd, it hasn't gone away. So they find stuff like that. Spraying peroxide. That's a new one on me. Never heard of that one before. Well, actually, okay, so peroxide, bleach, I've just clicked. Bed bugs are actually quite weak creatures. Okay, so this is how we get these products that are sold everywhere now. Hardware stores, online, you know, all of those places. And it will say on the label, quite legitimately, kills all stages of bedbug life. And I wondered how they could get away with that, because they clearly don't. The bottom line is, if you catch a bed bug in a cup or a jug or something, and you spray it with most things, hairspray, washing up liquid, bleach, it will kill it in that environment. What you can't do is spray the bed frame with bleach and hope that the bed bug that's hiding is going to come into contact with that bleach while it's still wet, and come into contact with enough of that bleach. So lots of things will kill bed bugs on contact. Fogger bombs will kill bed bugs on contact. Trouble is, bed bugs are not out in the open. I believe it's the same. I've heard a lot about UV lights recently. Ultraviolet kills bed bugs. Again, it's a laboratory condition thing. Yes, if you hold a bed bug immobile with a UV light on it, shining on it, for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, pretty sure it'll kill kill that bed bug. But bed bugs literally only come out to feed or move if they have to, or if they want to. Females often move to get away from the males. Contact killers are pointless, and if I'm being brutally honest, many residual chemicals are now becoming ineffective. So this is a hot topic in pest control. What treatment is the best? And every pest controller has their, I think the way I do it is best. Pest controller A thinks the way they do it is best. And I'm talking about decent pest controllers. I'm not talking the cowboys, the rip-off merchants, you know, not those people. I'm talking about people that, maybe have been doing pest control for years, and they're genuine. They want to resolve people's problems. They go in and they do what they do, and eventually they probably 19% of them probably do get there if they're persistent enough. So there are people out there that still swear by Just Chemicals. I'm not going to diss them. I may not agree with them, but I'm not going to diss them. They're doing their job their way, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're not ripping people off, and as long as they're operating in a safe manner for humans and the environment, crack on, guys. Do your thing. There are other people that say heat is the only answer. You can only use heat treatment is the only thing that works. I don't know about that. Heat treatment can be useful. It appears. I've met guys that show me their successes. I can't argue with their success, but it is a science. It's, I delete comments in the group when people say, oh, just go and hire a load of space heaters from, Screwfix or wherever, and just set them up in your home. Heat treatment is such a science. It's why it can't just be done by anyone. Oh, hello, I'm losing power. Uh-oh, let me plug in. Um, it's not just a matter of warming some parts of the room up to the required temperature. It needs to penetrate really well in, like, you know, not just the outside cushions on your sofa. You need the heat to penetrate, and it needs to be done quickly. Because believe it or not, bed bugs don't just sit there and go, oh, it's getting a bit warm here, I think I'll just sit here and fry. No, they do what you do on holiday. So you sat by the pool, it gets really, really hot. You move to somewhere cooler. So do they. So if they have a chance to run away and get under the skirting boards and right behind your power sockets and into the walls or under your floorboards before the required temperature, as I say, there are guys out there that do it really, really well, and I'm not dissing anyone. I'm not dissing anyone's method. There are also people out there that say you can do it chemical free. Guess what? They're right, because I worked for one of those companies. Okay? It can be done. You do not need chemicals or superheat in your house to resolve bed bugs. Now, there are very few chemical free, in fact I think I only know of one or two chemical free companies out there. They should be bigger. I genuinely believe that. Maybe that's the future. I hope so. I hope so. Now, when I do a treatment, I use very little chemical, and here's a shocker. I never spray the bed. Ever. Not even a little bit. I don't use my chemicals on the bed. I will use it in other harbourage areas and areas I want to flush them out from, but not the bed. So figure that one out. Someone thinks they got theirs from graduation. Yeah, that's possible. Or yeah, or travel to and from the graduation. I mean, you know, public transport's always a thing. Thanks, Dean Butterworth. I knew it was called a mole. You know I'm an absolute idiot. I did have a conversation. I had a conversation with my former boss on the phone one day in front of a customer, and I just couldn't think of the word. And I was saying to him on the phone, I want to say antlers, but I know that's the wrong word. And I heard him give a very big sigh at the other end, and he went, they're antennae. I was like, oh yeah, that's it. I'm not that person. I'm a hands-on. I'm not a brain person. Okay, so what is so bad about the fogger bombs? So what happens with fogger bombs is you set it up in the middle of the room, you set it off, it goes poof into the air, and then it lands on every horizontal surface, is how it was explained to me. So it will land on top of your mattress. If you've taken the mattress off, it will land on top of your bed frame. It will land on top of your chest of drawers, on top of your wardrobe, on top of your door frames, whatever. Okay? So the bed bugs just move underneath and they disperse, they spread. So if they're all, let's say they're all living, I won't go with bed because that's the classic one. Let's say in your lounge, the bed bugs are just in your sofa. They're not in your curtains. They're in your sofa. Quite normal. They don't always spread everywhere. I'll come back to that in a minute. I don't know how long this is going to last, this live, but I've got a feeling it's going to be quite long. So yeah, so now every horizontal flat surface has got the chemical on, but it's not under the sofa. So they move under the sofa, maybe deeper into the frame. They will go, if they're, say they are along the top of the skirting board or in that area or on the back of the sofa, they're going to move off of there, and they're not going to go on top of the skirting board where you'd see them. They're going to go underneath the skirting board where the chemical isn't. And they can survive walking through that residual chemical that it leaves. They can walk through that to come out and feed and go back to their safe harbourage points again, but they just cause spread. The same is the same thing I was told, aerosol sprays. It causes them. So you spray your bed frame, And I've got some great pictures. If any of you want to contact me privately through Facebook, you can either contact me on Messenger on Sarah Spratt or the Bedbug Queen profile. I have a picture of a divan bed. Okay, so I went to do an inspection and it was a bad one. I'm not going to lie. It was a bad one. And I didn't really need to inspect much. So I just pulled the bed away from the wall a bit and went, hell yeah, okay, fine. When I went back to do the treatment and I actually took, fully took the mattress off, it was a divan bed. And the lady had told me she'd been sitting in bed spraying herself with insecticide to keep them off of her. And I hadn't given that as much consideration as I should have. Because when I got the divan base upside down and I actually got a full look at what was going on, the head end of the bed, I mean, there was still activity, but it was quite low level. You'd say less than 6 months. There was fecal and there were shed skins and there were live bed bugs. The bottom end looked like a bee swarm. It was just coated in bed bugs. Because she was spraying herself with the spray, they moved to the foot end of the bed more because it was a nicer place to live. If your house stunk because the sewers burst and the council won't do anything, or the water companies, you'd move if you could. So will they. So that's the problem with the fogger bombs. Any kind of repellent. People will tell you, use lavender oil, use tea tree oil. I've seen camphor, so the stuff that's in mothballs, cloves, you'll see that one a lot. All that happens is if you put those in your bed, they will move. I could always tell if someone had used repellents because the bed bugs will be on the ceiling junction or up in the corner, near enough to the bed to come and feed, but they've moved up to avoid that smell. I could always tell. I could walk into a property and say, what have you been using? And it would either be sprays or fogger bombs or essential oils, which you could usually smell. Some places so much lavender, I'm surprised I didn't fall asleep as I walked through the door, because that's all lavender does. So can you PM me? Yeah, of course you can, no worries. I'm in North London, but I tend to cover the home counties rather than London. Believe me, I can get to Bedfordshire quicker than I can get to Marble Arch, which is only 9 miles away from me. So I've spread myself, and so I do the home counties. For an inspection, I probably wouldn't travel much further than an hour, maybe an hour and a half at a push for someone that was really desperate. So yes, if you want to PM me later, absolutely no problem at all. Yeah, some people say they've had luck with the Critical. I can't comment. I don't even know if you had bed bugs. I don't know what else you did. I don't know if you cleaned really well, because as I said, don't always necessarily need chemicals to kill bed bugs. Yeah, I've heard people talk about these products. On a personal level, I've seen more failures than I've seen successes, and more problems caused by those products than resolved. So, but then, I'm not going to hear the success stories, am I? I'm only going to hear the failures, but I hear it a lot. What is normal to see after you've had 2 initial sprays 16 days apart and 2 preventative sprays 60 days apart? Okay. So are you oh, hi Paul, nice to see you, thank you for supporting me, bless you. Yeah, Danielle, what is normal to see after you've had 2 initial sprays 16 days apart? But okay, so I don't understand preventative sprays, that's not in my vocabulary. So the way I operate is I would come do your treatment, I would do a follow-up visit after 14 days ish, 14 to 21 days, and then if I didn't see any further activity, you wouldn't get another spray. So all of my treatments since I started my company have been 1 treatment only. So that's me bigging myself up. I'm going to blow my own trumpet. How do you know if they're completely gone? There are no fresh signs. So if you you know, once you've done what your pest controller's told you, because I advise everyone, if you have paid a pest controller and you have a guarantee and you have communication with that pest controller, follow their instructions exactly. Ignore me. Because if you do what I tell you, you may invalidate your guarantee, and I don't want that. Okay? If after your guarantee period has ended and it's not worked out or whatever, well, I will happily give you advice. But while you are paying someone to resolve your issue, go with them. And that's a tough one. um, yeah, so preventative sprays I don't understand, because I don't understand what you're preventing. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But hey, that may be some other company's protocols. It's not mine. Yeah, so I would say inspect once a fortnight, once a month. You know, just really go over your bed frame. And different beds, different things. Wooden beds, take them apart. Divan beds, flip them over. Headboards, always start with the headboard. Okay, if you have a fabric headboard and you think you have bed bugs, look round the back of your headboard and detach the headboard from your bed, because that is where you're going to find signs first. You know what? I'm actually going to say it 100% of the time. Headboards. Now, that doesn't mean throw your headboards away. It actually means you know where to look. And, oh, can we talk about metal beds? Okay, so everyone goes, oh, I've got a metal bed. I was told to get a metal framed bed because bed bugs don't like metal beds. They can't live in them. Yes, they can. They don't like them. That's true. They don't like them very much. But all that happens then is if they can't find a comfortable harbourage in the bed frame, which is where they really want to be, you know, skirting boards near the bed as well, but mainly the bed. If they can't find somewhere comfy in the bed, they're going to nest elsewhere. So with metal beds, you're more likely to see fecal trace on the mattress, I've found, because less harbourage points on the bed frame. However, they're more likely to be nesting somewhere else, although they can infest metal beds. And again, I have pictures. If you want to see the pictures, just let me know. So they are more likely to be maybe in the bedside table, or if you've got a window near the bed, top of the curtains. Weird place. Top of the curtains is one of those weird ones. You wouldn't think it, and sometimes you don't check. But if the bed's nearish a window, within about a couple of meters, it's worth checking. And the top where the ruffles are, they seem to love that texture. So they can live anywhere. Hi USA! Hi Dean again. Hang on, we have another question in. If they're believed to be harbouring in the walls, that's about blah 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 blah. Okay, so why do you believe they're in the walls? They can go in the walls. I'm not going to say they don't. And building issues are a bit of a nightmare. You know, if you've got a block of flats and let's say tenant in the middle of the, oh no, let me tell you one of my horror stories. I got called to a job. There were 3 flats. It was a house, 3 flats. I was called to a ground floor flat. I inspected there, confirmed bed bugs, but low numbers. And they mentioned to me that on the next floor up there was a lady that definitely had bed bugs, and she thought that was where she'd got them from. So I thought I better pop up and have a look. Always chat to your neighbours. I know it's embarrassing, but talk to your neighbours. Otherwise you could have your pest controller coming back 10 times and it's not going to get resolved if they're coming from next door. So I went up to the next level, and there were 2 front doors. So this was to the lady that lived on the middle flat, and then opposite was the door to the flat upstairs. So I've knocked on this door for the middle flat, and I'm waiting for them to come to the door, and you know, you're looking around. And I looked at the other front door and I saw 6 bed bugs wandering around over the outside of this front door. And I thought, well, I didn't think that. Well, I did think that, but I thought, good grief. I probably need to get in there. So I obviously went to the flat I was going to. When I came out of there, I went and I knocked, I cold called on that property, where I found the worst case I've ever seen. I'm not going to give many details, but the person had had them for a decade. And I know I say they're not everywhere. Oh no, they're not always everywhere. On this occasion, they were. And he'd tried to resolve it himself. He'd bought loads of sprays and he was trying it. He'd had pest control out once or twice. It had failed. They'd blamed him. And he'd just got himself into this massive depressive loop. So bedbugs can travel through buildings, but in a normal situation, in a detached home, okay, where we know they're not coming from neighbours, or we know that all the neighbouring properties are clear because we've given them a free inspection, they have no reason to be living in the walls. Unless you're not... okay, slight caveat there. If you haven't got a bed, if you're sleeping on the floor on a mattress, they're more likely to be in skirting boards, possibly plug sockets, those sorts of areas, because you're not providing them with a nice cozy space that dinner turns up at every single night, which is the bottom line. It's not just beds that can get infested. Okay, so yeah, sofas, armchairs. I tell you places I've never treated. I've never treated a kitchen and I've never treated a bathroom. Because if you do find one in kitchens or bathrooms, they've either, that's a red flag for me. If you're in a flat and I find one, you find one in your kitchen, I am definitely going to be checking with all your neighbours, because kitchens is not a common place to find bed bugs. There's no food source there, no regular food source there that they can access. Or it's fallen off your clothing. You've got up in the morning, you've come out of bed with your jammies on, you've gone to make your coffee, a bed bug was on your clothing, you know, and it's dropped on the floor. Oh, hello. Interesting comment here coming in from Hugh. Now, I'm definitely not going to diss Hugh. He said he treated them in the fridge. I'm wondering, and I hope he'll answer me, I'm wondering if that was in something like a bedsit situation or something along those lines. Because bloody hell, I mean, a fridge. I mean, listen, I've seen them in all sorts of things. Radios, spectacles. I've actually got a photograph of an infested spectacle frame. I've seen them in weird things like matchboxes, books, records. They're fairly standard paperwork. You see them a lot. But again, that's usually where stuff is stored under the bed. So especially if you live in London, every bit of space is storage. Myself, I'm living kind of the nightmare scenario, because not only am I treating bed bugs all the time. Open doorway, small place, says Hugh. So I'm assuming there was a bedroom right next door, maybe. So I'm treating. I have brought bed bugs home before, not here to the house, but I used to live on a narrow boat. So meh. So yeah, that was fun. Narrow boats are interesting. But anyway, fixed it. But at the moment, I'm sleeping on a sofa bed. Where I would much prefer to be on a normal bed frame that I can take apart and inspect properly all the time. So yeah, I'm often in a state of heightened anxiety at home. In customers' home, calm, personified. So Hugh's saying the fridge he treated, it was an open plan style flat, so I can kind of understand that. Oh yeah, gaming chair. So yeah, that's a good one. Chairs, office chairs, desk chairs, gaming chairs. And again, so Paul's just bearing up what I'm saying. So they've been using over-the-counter sprays on the bed. So they moved out of the bed. Some of them moved out of the bed. Some will have died. Someone asking me about pricing. I'm not here selling my services today. If you would like to reach out to me via email, queenofbedbugs@gmail.com, or via the website, or message me via Facebook. Happy to chat, but I'm not going to give prices out online. That's not what I'm doing today. I am here obviously promoting myself, but I'm not selling a service today. We're just having a chat. What happens if the client has got junk in the bedroom and everywhere? Ugh. I find pest controllers, we tend to fall into two different camps. Some want all the prep work done before you go in and do the treatment, or before you even go out and do an inspection, clear all the clutter. Others will say, leave everything where it is. I want to see it and then I'll give you instructions. Personally, I fall into the latter camp. So if somebody rings me today, what's today? It's still Christmas, I'm lost. Friday. If someone rings me today and I can't do the inspection till Wednesday next week, say, I'll say, leave everything where it is. Don't even change the bedding. Pay cheap, pay twice. Completely right, Hugh. Completely agree with you there. So I like to go in, I'll see what junk there is, and then I can give the advice on, okay, this stuff can be bagged and washed. Is there somewhere else we can store it? It's not a matter of fixed prices. I'm just not doing that today. So I'm happy that I do have fixed prices. I have a per room price, but I'm not discussing that right now. Okay, so happy to have a chat with you later. So yeah, so then I can say, okay, this stuff can be washed. This stuff needs to be wrapped up and sealed, and this is how you inspect it. Or I'll deal with that myself. Don't wrap that up because I want the chemical to come in contact with that. So quite often storage beds, people will have rucksacks and stuff under the bed. So yeah, some of it will be, oh, your bedding's all under here. Okay, that is going to need to be washed. Pop it in a bag, wash it. Other things, yeah, like rucksacks, sleeping bags, tents, I come across sometimes. Those I want out, but I want them in the room so that when I'm doing a chemical spray, firstly, I use steam a lot, superheated steam, the Cymex, the Pulte Cymex Eradicator, magnificent machine. Not all steamers are created equal. Your domestic steamer at home may not be doing what you think it is. Again, that's another story. So yeah, and so I said we're going to get them out, we're going to leave them there, and as part of the treatment I will process those as part of the treatment. So yeah, I prefer to see it. There's junk and junk. There are jobs I've walked away from because it's not that there's too much to do, it's just the customer may not have the capability or the physical ability or the energy. People that have had them a while and have been battling, and their mental health's not great, and they're worn down and they're exhausted, and they've tried everything. They're hoovering and steaming every day, and they're spraying stuff every day, and they're doom scrolling every day and going down the rabbit hole and like being told, oh my God, they're everywhere. They just haven't got the energy or the capacity to do it. Sometimes in those cases, I would offer a bespoke, listen, I can come for a day and prep this for a fee. Obviously, I'm not a charity, but I would happily do that for customers if that's what they need. So yeah, if at the bare minimum it's we're going to wrap it and we're going to stick it in the shed for a year, okay, that's fine. Then I can treat once I've got an area I can move in, that I can actually access the areas I need to access. Then yeah, it does need to be cleared. Are passive monitors worth investing in? Listen, full disclosure here. I used to work for David's company. Okay, he's a brilliant man. Okay, we may not see eye to eye, but when it comes to bed bugs, I've met loads of people that are really good. Dr. Richard Naylor from the Bedbug Foundation, amazing guy. David, David Kane, he knows his stuff. The passive monitors are his. Um, they're great. And I'm not going to lie, I've got one on my sofa bed. So, you know, um, I'm not going to say to you they're rubbish, because they're not. And are they better than sticky traps? Hell yeah. And I've even been trialing some really new products on the market. I'm not finding them as good as the passive monitors. So, you know, yeah, get one, pop it on your bed. The good thing about them is it can work in two ways. One, it can reassure you you don't have bed bugs. You check it. I can't remember what David says. Check it once a month, once a fortnight. Can't remember. Um, but they are. I'm not never going to say any product is 100%. Okay, so again, this is not dissing the product or anything else, because it is great. And no lie, there's literally one on my sofa, my sofa bed. Um, am I going to say they're 100 million%? I can't do that. But are they really, really good? Yeah, yeah, they are. Symmetrol Super EW. It's what I'm having success with. Um, Under the bed or on literally. Do you mean the monitors? Yeah, passive monitors rolled up. Yeah, there are. Listen, the passive monitors from Bedbugs Limited are not the only passive monitors out there. There are YouTube tutorials and all kinds of things what you can do. There's other products that use similar methodology. For some reason, bedbugs love cardboard. And again, it was explained to me something to do with caves and liking to be hidden inside them. Something. Like I say, science is not my thing. Yeah, I'm still having success with Symmetrol. And I have Biopren as a backup, but I've not needed to use it, but I have it there as a secondary should I get called back if there's some kind of resistance. So yeah, I'm doing okay with it, but I use very, very little. I think since August, I think I've used maybe 50 mil, 60 mil at a push. I don't use a lot of chemical. So yeah. So yeah, I would say under the mattress is a good place. Um, Under the mattress is a good place to put any monitor. Um, but it's where they're likely to be active. Head end of the bed, back of the headboard, near where the headboard joins to, if it's a divan, where the headboard struts fit to the divan base, if you know what I mean. That's a classic place to find them as well. Um, yeah, so what can I witter on about next? Uh, Bedroom, blah, blah, blah. Gaming chairs. Yeah, so the one about the walls, they have to come out to feed. So even a product like diatomaceous earth or silicon dioxide along the skirting edges, under the skirting edges, might be useful. Be really careful when you're using either of those products. You really don't want to be breathing it in. You really want to keep it in nice hidden areas. Um, I like silicon dioxide, but I find DE easier to control. So I'm a little bit torn on that one. But I've been having good success. On a metal frame, so on a metal frame bed, you're still going to want it near the head end of the bed. If there isn't, so normally they be on the top slat of the bed. If these are metal bars about that far apart and it's not wide enough to pop it on there, you can always put just a bigger piece of cardboard with the monitor on that, or a piece of wood with the monitor stuck to that. That would work. Phobia caps, never used them, never used Bugster either. So I can't comment on those products because I don't know. Um, I have no idea. on those ones. Oh dear, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting a notification. I've no idea what it means. Apparently my frame rate is too low. Oh well, we'll keep going. Okay, so why can't we run away to the lounge if we've got bed bugs in our bedroom? Um, they will follow you. So people think, oh, I brought bed bugs home from holiday. I should never have unpacked my suitcase on my bed. Doesn't really matter. You could have unpacked them in the kitchen. You could have unpacked it in the lounge. Oh, hang on, Paul's got to answer this one. No, they do not always bite in threes. They can bite singly. It's less likely, but they can bite singly. They could get disturbed as they're feeding. So let's say they come along and they're biting you, and you move, and they become dislodged. That's a single bite. Do they always bite in lines? No, but if you tell people they're going to see lines, they'll find lines. If you tell people they're going to see triangles, they'll find triangles. It's a weird part of the human brain. If you tell them you're looking for something, oh, hello. Oh my God, what on earth has happened here? No. Oh dear, dear, dear. I don't know what's going on. We might get cut off because apparently my something rate is too low. Um, so bed bugs bite exposed skin. So when people say I'm dressing right from my toes, you know, I'm putting socks on and a onesie and, you know, and I'm going all the way up to here in gloves, um, your face is going to get bitten. So, you know, it's kind of a pointless exercise. Um, yeah, it's give them something to nibble on. You know, they're going to nibble anyway. So yeah, so to go back to the bedroom thing. So you've discovered bed bugs in your bedroom, you've booked, or you don't really know what to do, but your first instinct is to run away to the lounge. Um, Firstly, if you bring your bed in with you, that could be a problem. But most people wouldn't. Most people would leave everything there. Um, so you've gone to the lounge, you're sleeping in the lounge. You've got pest control coming next week, but you're just going to stay in the lounge. To be honest, for a couple of days, maybe a week, it's not going to make much difference. They're not necessarily going to follow you that quickly. Like I said, they don't feed every night. So, you know, yes, they're going to come out on day about 5, 6 and go, oh, where's dinner? Dinner's not here. Dinner's always here. But I don't believe they would start migrating to the lounge that quickly. If, however, you have your pest control treatment and the pest controller says you must sleep in your bedroom, which they should tell you, because you need to be in there to encourage them to come out, to come into contact with the chemical. If you're not in there to stimulate them to feed, they won't go through that chemical multiple times, or whatever product is put down, DE, silicon dioxide, whatever. So, but you can't bear the thought of sleeping in your bedroom and you stay in the lounge. Not only is the bedroom not going to get clear, you're going to end up with 2 infested rooms because bed bugs track us down. So this is the thing with unpacking your suitcase in the lounge or the kitchen. Oh, I unpacked in the kitchen because the washing machine's there. A couple of bed bugs drop off. You didn't notice them because you're doing your laundry and you're trying to get the kids to bed and whatever, cook some dinner. Those bed bugs will find their own way to your bedroom. They detect the carbon dioxide from our exhaled breath. We're in bed more than we're anywhere else. There's more carbon dioxide there than anywhere else. Therefore, they will make their way to the bed. So bring them to the lounge, bring them to the hallway, bring them to a different bedroom. If there's no food source there, if there's a better food source in your bedroom, they're going to make their own way there. Okay, so what's normal to see after 2 treatments? So, sorry, yes, I did start to... Yeah, I did answer that, I believe. I don't understand preventative sprays. It's not a thing. If there's no activity, no treatment. C40WP still a product that can be used. Is that Symmetrol we're talking about? Yeah, I'm still using Symmetrol, so it's working for me. Will it work for everyone? Will it work in every area? Are there bed bugs that are immune to it? Yeah, probably, probably. So yeah, that's a. As I say, I'm not a scientist. Um, I haven't seen any signs for 4 months, then found a single adult with a little feces. Could this be a new infestation? It definitely is. Definitely. 4 months. Oh, okay. Hold on. One caveat with that. If there was one single male bed bug left over, everything else died, one single male, then it would be one single bed bug. Um, but the more likely scenario is that they've been reintroduced. Um, the likelihood is that you pick them up from the same place you picked them up from last time. Um, and the places you can pick them up are so numerous, it can make people really paranoid. But if you just think the more people that pass through, the more chance that someone's dropped a bed bug. So anywhere high footfall, there's a potential risk. But I don't want people to be paranoid because, um, certain public transport that I used to use regularly before I went into bed bugs was known to have bed bug issues, but I never picked them up in the 10 years I commuted. So just because a certain airline or hotel or taxi firm or public transport infrastructure has had bed bugs or a bed bug has been seen, it doesn't mean they're everywhere on that in that thing. It doesn't mean that everybody that gets on there is going to get them. It is just bad luck. Best method for treating cars. Best method for treating cars. Treated my own car. I used steam and vacuum. That's all I did. I steamed and vacuumed it. Maybe twice, just to be on the safe side. Um, how can you tell the difference between a female and a male bed bug? Oh God, I always get this one wrong. One is more rounded at the bottom. There we go. One's got more a rounded profile at the bottom and one has a slightly more. That's all you're getting from me. It doesn't matter to me whether they're male or female. Is that another question there? Yeah. Yeah, so the question about, as I say, if you're not getting no fresh signs, if you've had no fresh signs, I'd say 6 weeks to 2 months, just to be on the safe side. And that's me really pushing it to the limit because I know there are people that say less. Excuse me. There are also people that will say more. So if you've had no fresh signs, no new fecal, no new shed skins, no new eggs for 2 months, you're clear. They all die the same way. Good point. Get my steamer. Yeah, I am that childish. Sorry. Um, well, this has gone much better than I expected it to. You've all been lovely. Um, I'll give it another 10 minutes or so if people have got more questions. Um, oh, I'm going to go and have a lie down after this. If I thought the podcast was bad, this is worse, Hugh. What have you done to me? Unusual pieces of furniture. Sometimes, yeah, sofa beds are my absolute bugbear. You're going to have to take them apart down to their component parts as much as you can. Um, I swear by Steam. Um, it's just brilliant. It can get into everything, and it is so effective if you're using it. It the Pulte itself is absolutely designed for the job. Oh, hello, Past Perspectives podcast. What are you doing turning up late? I turn up on time for you. Um, See, now I've lost my train of thought again. I do this all the time. Yeah, so steam, it's superheated steam. So what you need is with a domestic steamer that you'd probably go to, I don't know, your general hardware store or Screwfix or whatever to buy, handheld steamer. Shh, 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 shh. Yes, steam has to be generated at 100 degrees, but it's the temperature that it comes out at. Um, it's the temperature it comes out at, and it's delivered at. So if you've got, so one of the smaller ones, actually the heat coming out of that probably is close-ish to where you need it to be or where you want it to be. Trust me, it's not 100 degrees when it comes out of that thing. If you've got one that's got a pipe, it's even cooler by the time it comes out. Sorry, excuse me. Um, Also, you don't want something, if you've got a steamer that's like this, like really powerful, there is a risk that you could just blast the bed bug away stunned, maybe singed a bit, but not dead. So that's a risk. Um, the Polity is designed. It's got a pressure control, it is designed to deliver the heat at that 180 degree temperature. I think it's 180 degrees, 180, right at that point of delivery. That's what makes it so much better. But it's an expensive product, but well worth it in my opinion for any pest. Maybe not for a domestic setting, but I would certainly say hotels, nursing homes, and every pest controller should have one, frankly, because they're just marvellous. I am coming on the podcast this year. I do believe it's the 3rd of February. I'll try not to waffle on too much on yours. What guarantee do pest controllers give? I can only talk for myself. I give a 3-month guarantee. Any revisits needed in that time. If the people just need another inspection, reassurance inspection, that's included in their costs. I had a job that I did. The lady messaged me to say, I'm a little bit concerned. I've got the odd bite now and then. Will you come and do an inspection? Yeah, sure, no problem. And funnily enough, that night she found a juvenile bed bug. So she caught it, killed it, obviously. We had a chat on the phone. I said the pattern of her bites, because she'd had 2 and then a gap and then another couple. So it didn't seem, it presented as a single bed bug. So I said, let's see how it goes, but I'll book you in for the 2nd of January. So I would have been going this morning. As it happens, we messaged, she went away over Christmas, she came back, first 2 nights, no bites. That tells me all I need to know. But I still said I'd go for her reassurance. But she was reassured anyway. She went, no, it's fine. I don't need you to come. But I would go. Yep, 3rd of February, I will be there. 3 Poulties. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a second one because I can't risk mine going down. So if you had a spare one you wanted to get rid of, hi. I'm a great talker here. I'm a woman in my 50s, and this is my thing. Imagine that, finding your thing after your 40s, to suddenly discover in your late 40s that bed bugs were your thing, and now in my late 50s turning into a lunatic business owner. I mean, really, nobody could have seen this coming. There are people that know me that are going, you did what? Sorry, why? I'm glad I have. I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. So, people, if we have no more questions, I think I'm going to toodle off and have a gin. I'll give you another couple of minutes. So, tell you a bit more about me. I am on Instagram, but I'm rubbish at it. But I'm getting better. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Nextdoor. If you're local to North London, you'll find me there. Generally, it's the Bedbug Queen or the Bedbug Queen Limited. I'm going to be trying to posting content every day. If there's something you want me to show you, I'll do my best. Obviously I don't have a bed, so I can't, but I can show you how to inspect a sofa bed, which then covers how to inspect a sofa. I can show you the kinds of areas they like. I'll take videos while I'm out working as well, and show you the things I find. But yeah, going to be a bit of a journey this year. So please, if you don't already follow me, please do, because I want to get my followers up. Apparently now I've got nearly 8,500 members in my group, according to my 17-year-old very cool granddaughter. Makes me a micro influencer, so you know. Yeah, well, it's been lovely, guys, and thank you for letting me waffle on and everything else. And yeah,